Hello and welcome to Kaceli Tech Training. This is a complete tutorial on using Microsoft Word for Mac. The reason for this tutorial is because there are some differences between the version of Word for a PC and that of a Mac, even though recently Microsoft has made quite a few adjustments to align it between the two operating systems. This tutorial is for beginners and anyone who wants to sharpen their skills on using Microsoft Word. We will start with the very basics and then proceed with more advanced features so that you can become proficient in Microsoft Word. Let's get started. In this segment of the Microsoft Word tutorial for Mac, I'm going to go over the basics of the Word application, identifying some of the key elements of the Word interface, and highlight some of the differences between Word for Windows and Mac. To open Word, go to Launchpad and locate the Word application, or by simply typing Word on the search box. In my case, I'm using Microsoft Word for Microsoft 365, the latest version as of the time of this recording. When you first open Word, you'll notice that on the top there is this menu, and this is the typical menu on a Mac OS system. We have Word, and this is where you set up the preferences, then File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, and so on. The rest is laid out in tabs. The Home tab with all the options on the right-hand side, the New tab to start new things, such as a new document, or to use a template from the existing repository of Word. Recent, this includes recent documents. Shared, these will be documents that have been shared with you. And Open, this is to open documents, whether from recent folders or from OneDrive or from the Mac system. We can either start the new document directly from the Home tab and click on Blank Document, or we can go here to New and select Blank Document. You can use one of the templates from here as well, and it's a matter of just clicking to open it and then filling in the information. For now, we are going to start with the blank document. Click on Blank Document, double-click, and that will open the Microsoft Word application with a blank document and ready to type. Before we start creating our first document, we are going to go over some of the elements in Microsoft Word here for Mac OS. At this point, Microsoft Word, it's not in full screen. We could put this in full screen and it will look something like this, and the menus will show up on the very top. On the very top, as I mentioned earlier, you have the menu system from the Mac OS. And these are the options for Microsoft Word. Below, we have the Home tab, what's referred to as the Office ribbon. The Office ribbon typically includes a set of icons, or actually groupings of icons, the font section of icons and commands for managing formatting in a document, styles, and so on. Typically, each section is part of one of those tabs. So you have the Home tab, then the Insert tab, Draw, Design, Layout, References, Mailings, and so on. Typically, these are organized in the order that you develop the document. You'd start writing in here, creating a document, and use basic formatting tools. Then, as you develop your document further, then you go ahead and insert components such as pictures, shapes, icons, 3D models, and so on. Then you can change the design of the document to make it look consistent and change the layout of it, then use references and so on. One thing that might be different from Microsoft Word for Windows is that the menu options here differ from that of Windows, but the Office ribbon is mostly consistent with Windows. For better understanding of using Microsoft Word, I do suggest that you start getting used to using those tabs from the ribbon instead of the menus on the top, because the menus will be very different from that in Windows. Then on the bottom left, we have the number of pages for the document, then the number of words in the document, and accessibility checking. That's important nowadays. And then over here on the right-hand side, we have the different views. Further to the right-hand side, we have the option to zoom in and out. On the top right, this is the quick search option. If you don't know where something is, for example, if you want to know how to insert a footer, you can simply search on the top right and it will take you directly to that command, and you don't have to know where it is located. You can do the same thing with, let's say, page numbers. Further down here, we have commenting and editing permissions and the sharing options as you collaborate with other individuals. So that's the general interface. Next, we are going to move into creating our first document and some of the key concepts related to formatting in Microsoft Word. I know this is very basic, but hang in there or forward to the next section in this tutorial if this is too basic for you. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to get started with a new document in Word. As you open Word and select a new document or a blank document, we have this blinking cursor. Typically, you'll be in the Home tab by default. At this point, we can start typing. As you type, the system will proceed to the next line automatically. Also, by default, the spacing will be single-spaced. To start a new paragraph, you simply hit the Enter key on the keyboard and then start a new paragraph. To format this first section, we can either hold down the mouse and then select that section, and then press bold to make it bold. To change the font to make it larger, we can click on the drop down to the font and then select, let's say, 16. Or you can use this increase font and decrease font size option next to the number. That will make the font larger. The other option to select this text is to double click in front of the line. So double tap. Now to select this whole line, we can move the mouse outside of the text area when it changes to an arrow, and then click once, and that will select the whole line of text. And then we can make additional adjustments if necessary. Notice in the font section, we have these additional tools as well. And if you hold the mouse on any of these icons, it gives you a description of what that icon does. In my case, if I wanted to change the font color, click on the drop down for the font color, or click on the font color drop down, and then select a new color, and the font has been applied. Single clicking outside of the paragraph selects only one line of text. If you want to select the whole paragraph, you either hold down the mouse and select the whole paragraph similar to this, or double click outside of the paragraph and that will select the whole paragraph, and then adjust using the icons under the font section. To select the whole document, you can triple click outside of the text area and that will select the whole text, or you can press the Command key and then A, and that will select all the text in your document. In the case where you have multiple items that you need to list, you can select this section and you can start from the bottom or from the top down. Then you can use these bulleted lists. If you click on the drop down of each bullet list, then you can select the option that you prefer. If you do not like the current bulleted list, you can select a different one or use one of those numbering options from here. To the right of this, you also have the various outlines. So if your document requires certain sequences and levels in the layout of the document, this is where you can use the list options. Notice at the very top you have this autosave, home, save, and these little icons. Those particular icons, that's the quick access toolbar. This includes options that are quickly accessible to you. So a function or something that you constantly do or that you regularly use, you can put that in the quick access toolbar area. Now, to undo something that you just did, you can either use the undo button here on the top left, and if you click on the drop down, it also includes a listing of components or tasks that you performed recently, and you can go to that point in time and it will revert the document to that particular point, undoing it to that stage. So for now, I'm just going to do a quick undo to reveal these bulleted lists. So again, you can use any of these options here in the lists segment of the home toolbar. As I mentioned earlier, text is going to be single-spaced. And in the case where you need the text to be double-spaced or more than one space, go to the top of the document and then change it to double-spaced. In the case where you want to modify the spacing for only a specific section, select the section first and then click on the line and paragraph spacing and change it to however many lines of spacing you prefer. So in this case, this is what it will look like at double-spaced. On the ribbon in Microsoft Word, you typically have a little icon to the bottom of each section, which allows you to further modify the properties related to that section. So if it's in the font section, you have a drop-down listing of additional features and functions related to that particular section from a separate menu. Another difference between Word for Mac OS and the version for a PC is that whenever you select a section of text in Microsoft Word, typically you'll get a little toolbar that shows up right above the selected text that will display the variety of options that are available related to what you are doing. So it's another quick access toolbar, not having to reach to the icons on the top. However, that option is not available on the Mac. To display hidden characters in a document, click on Show or Hide, and that will display wherever there is a space, there is this little dot, and wherever you hit Enter or the return key on your keyboard, this is where the paragraph mark is. This tool can be very helpful if you are trying to troubleshoot formatting issues in how the document displays and what's happening behind the scenes. To turn off the hidden character option, you click on it again on the icon for Show or Hide, and that will clear it out. When formatting a document, you can also use what's called styles and headings. So in this case, let's say I select the heading area for this document. So you select the specific section of text, typically a heading, and then come here to the heading and tap on heading 1, or click to navigate to the various other style options. So you can select an existing heading style by clicking on title, and it will further adjust it basically to what that title's properties. To make additional changes to this, you can indent it to the center by using the indentation options, or if you prefer to have it in one line, again, you can adjust the sizing of that using these tools here on the left. Now, one of the differences between Word for Mac OS and Word for Windows is that whenever you hold the mouse on any of these styles in Windows, it's going to give you a preview. It's going to auto-update the text automatically. So it's the live preview. On a Mac, it does not do that particular function. Now to the right, we also have the Styles pane. This gives you a preview of what the different styles, so you can kind of get a preview of what the style definitions are for the document, and then you can apply them as needed by simply clicking on it. This option is simply listing the set of tools at your disposal as you are formatting text in your document. Another common concept that it would be helpful to know when using Microsoft Word is the concept of copying and pasting. Let's say we want this section or this paragraph in another area. So I'm going to double click to select the whole paragraph, select a bunch of text, and then click here on copy, the icon for copy on the left, and then go elsewhere in your document, and then click on paste. And then the system will paste the text, so you're reusing a specific section in another area. The other option is to select a bunch of text, and let's say we want to move it to a different area in the document. In this case, we are going to use the cut functionality, and then we are going to paste it in a different section of the document. To do that, we select the text. And you can also use keyboard shortcuts. So Command C is to copy something, Command V is to paste it, and in our case, we are going to cut this. So to cut it, I can click here on the cut icon, or I can press on the keyboard Command X, and it will remove it from the location here. And then we can go to another area in our document, free up some space, and then paste it. You can use the paste icon from here, or press the Command V option and it will paste it. Now notice when pasting something, you also have the paste options, where you can keep the source formatting or match the destination formatting. This is helpful if you're copying between two different documents, or to paste it as text only. These options will typically be available from the drop-down here as well. To save the document, you can do it a couple ways. There is the option for save on the quick access toolbar, or click on File and then choose Save, or use the option for Command S. So we'll press Save, and then we'll select where we want to save the document. You pick the location and then give it a title and then press save. In the case where you're reusing an existing document and you want to retain the original copy of that document, use the option for save as. The save as option, it's not going to be one of those icons from here unless you put an icon in there, but it'll be under File, and then select Save As. In this case, you're preserving the original document, and now you're making an additional copy of the document. To print the document, because this is a very basic component, to print this document, you can use the print icon from here, from the quick access toolbar, or you can press Command P. It will bring up the dialog box for printing. Or you can click on File and then select Print, and that'll do the same as well. In this case, you simply press Print, and then you're done. Now, once you're done with the document, and then we quit Microsoft Word, now we want to go back to open the document again. We go back to the Launchpad, and we locate Microsoft Word, and typically it will be listed here under Recents. So here's my copy of recent documents, and if I want it to be pinned, to open it in this case, I can simply click here on the file and then double click to open it. To pin it so that it will open all the time for the future in this pin tab, I can select here to this icon, pin, and then it will show up under the pinned documents. Open it, double click on it, and we are back to the document. To quit Microsoft Word, you'd click here on Word and then select Quit Word. Otherwise, it'll be running behind the scenes on your Mac system. To open the document, once you get to the Home tab, let's say you don't know where the document is stored, you can also go under Open and then go under My Mac or wherever the location is for that particular document. So whether it's on a network or in my case, I had saved it under Word for Mac, then press Open and there it is. So these are just some of the very basic concepts related to Microsoft Word for Mac OS. So stay tuned for the other modules on more advanced functionality in becoming proficient in Microsoft Word. In this segment of the Word for Mac OS tutorial, I'm going to go over how to use the Dictate tool to add new content to a document in Word. We have this document and now instead of typing, we want to simply dictate. In this case, we can use the Office Dictation tool. Click on it, click on Allow, and then click on the microphone icon to start the dictation. At this point, it is listening, and anything that we say, it is going to start transcribing it in the document as it is doing right now. Period. New paragraph. The transcription tool is very helpful because it can save you time if you know what you're trying to say as part of the document, period. Notice there are additional configuration options and the dictation settings as well next to the dictation icon. Now to stop the dictation, tap on the microphone icon here. If you're using a Mac, and I assume that you are since you are watching the Mac version of this tutorial, you can also double tap on the FN key on the keyboard on your MacBook, and that will start the dictation. As you can see, it's very similar to the Office dictation, but in this case, it is using the engine from Siri. Period. New paragraph. To stop the dictation from Siri, just tap on the FN key on the keyboard. Microsoft Word for Mac OS, just like in Windows, includes an option for editor. The editor, it's a tool built into Microsoft Word to check for spelling, grammar, and writing issues. It gives you an editor score, and if there are grammar issues, you can click on it and it will make suggestions to correct them. Here it gives insights to include a comma next to it and click to apply it. If there are spelling issues or refinement, it'll give you those additional insights as well. To close the editor, click on the X on the top right. In this segment, I'll demonstrate an important concept when using Microsoft Word, that of find and replace. In Windows, it's typically referred to as search and replace, and in the version of Word for Windows, it is on the right-hand side as one of the icons from the Home tab. However, in the Mac version of Word, you need to click here on Edit and then go under Find and then select Replace. In my case, I want to search for the word tutorial and then replace it with the word course. This can help in identifying specific words throughout a document and replace them all at once. So we type here tutorial and we want to replace it with the word course. The ones that it has found are highlighted along with the references in each instance below in the results. Now if we want to replace one at a time, we can click here on replace and replace again. and replace. Let's say that you didn't know where the find and replace option is, and as part of the menus or the ribbon, you can come here to the quick search on the top right and type the word replace, and then click here on replace, and it'll bring the same option that we had from before. Now, one other thing, as you are in replace here, in the replace options, notice that you can select different criteria, whether you want the whole word or to ignore the case or it sounds like, and also there is the option for advanced find and replace. In this segment of the Word tutorial for Mac, I'm going to demonstrate how to use comments in a document. Comments are typically used to provide feedback to someone else. They develop a document and they send it to you, and then you want to provide them feedback. While here on the Home tab, click on Comments on the right-hand side. Here we'd be able to view prior comments or add new comments in the document. Then we'd read through the document, and let's say this should be a comprehensive tutorial instead of a comprehensive course. Click here on New and type our comments and press Send. You can select a whole sentence or a whole paragraph or just a single word and add additional comments here. You can also provide feedback on existing comments from someone else. Now, in my case, it's just myself here in this working on this document, but you can give a thumbs up and also provide a reply. To edit a comment, we click on the three dots next to the name and then select Edit Comment and then make changes to it. To accept a comment, mark this as resolved by clicking on the three dots, and to delete it, click on Delete Thread, or to reopen it, we can select Reopen Thread. If it's not resolved already and we want to delete it, click here on Delete Thread, and that comment will be deleted. There are three modes in Microsoft Word. While we are on the Home tab and we go to the Editing option, there is the Editing mode where you can make changes to a document, and this is typically what happens if you're creating a new document. Then there is the Reviewing mode, which allows you to suggest changes and add comments to a document, and the system is going to tag those changes. And then the third option is viewing the document, where you can make no changes. This is editing. Notice I can add content to it, to the document. Then reviewing, anything that I change will be tracked. And it's going to mark it in red and track all the changes. Then in viewing mode, I cannot make any changes to it. So even though I hit the keys on the keyboard, it does not allow any changes to be made to the document. So this would be the safest way to prevent changes when working on somebody else's file. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I will demonstrate how to share a document with others. Now, in my case, I'm using Microsoft 365 of Microsoft Word. While we are on the Home tab, we have the document, and now we want to share it. Click on the Share option, and we can share it by using OneDrive. And the option is to either move the document to OneDrive or to copy the document. In my case, I'm going to simply copy it because I want to copy on this computer. And then we click on Upload. Once it's uploaded to OneDrive, autosave, it's going to be enabled by default. And then if we go back to the sharing option, now we can share it with a link, or we can manage access to the document, or click on Share again and invite others to work on this document. And then search for the name of the user. And don't forget, it's also important to select the level of access, whether they can edit the document, whether they can view it, download or not download it, and so on. You can add a note and then press Send. To review the access to the document, we click on Share and then click on Manage Access. If you select to send a message, in that case, they'll get the email And if the user opens Word, when they go to open Word, and under Shared with Me, it will display in the Shared with Me list of documents. And that's another option to access those shared files, or under the Shared tab over here on the left. In this segment of the Microsoft Word tutorial for Mac OS, I will demonstrate how to share your file, how to send your file to someone else, not through OneDrive, but to attach it. If your file is already in your computer and you want to share it, you can do it a couple ways. While here on the Home tab, you can click on Share on the right-hand side and then select Send a Copy. And then select how you want to send it. You can send it as a Word document, as a PDF file, or HTML. In this case, I'll select Word and then select Email Attachment. Then enter to whom you want to send this, put a subject, and then press Send Message. Notice that the file has been attached automatically, and then press Send Message. The other way to send the file to someone is by using the Mac OS menus from Microsoft Word. And you go here under File, click on Share, and then select Send as a Document or Share again here, either one of the options. So we click on File, click on Share, and then Send Document. And it's the same process. In this segment of the Microsoft Word tutorial for Mac, I'll demonstrate how to use formatting styles, and particularly heading styles in a document, and then create the table of contents from those heading styles. So we have this document here. It's about 10 pages long with some sections, and now we want to apply the heading styles to it. The formatting styles are pre-configured with certain font properties and formatting properties. You typically have heading 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can add even more. Those also symbolize hierarchy of organizing the information in a document. If we click on the Styles preview, it will give us a preview of those particular styles. And if we click on any of these and hold the mouse here, it will give us the configuration for that particular style, including all the font properties and formatting. To apply a particular style to the document, select that section first, and either use the option from the top, for example, Title, and apply it, or use the panel on the right, since I selected to display the Styles pane on the right. In this case, let's say that we need heading 1. Click on it, and that's what the heading 1 will look like. Then here we want to apply heading 2, then the next one, heading 2, and let's say this needs to be heading 1, heading 3, again heading 1, and again the organization of the information depends on the hierarchy of your document, but you'd basically go throughout the document and apply those heading styles. Now, your question might be, well, this heading 1, it doesn't really look that prominent. So is there a way to update the heading 1 style to look differently? And the answer to that is yes. So you can modify the heading 1 style by right-clicking on the style itself and then selecting Modify, and it will come up with all of these properties. So you can change the formatting, the type of font, the color of the font, and then change the paragraph and border and frame and all the other properties from here. That's one way, but it seems to be quite involved. The other way you can modify it is by clicking here on the drop down and selecting Modify Style for the heading 1 style, which will bring us to the same layout. The other option is to select this and change this style to what we like. So let's say I want this red, and then I want to indent it all the way to the left. So to indent it to the left, I could use either the ruler up here and drag this to the left, or go on the menu from Mac OS here and select Format and then select Paragraph. We want to format the paragraph spacing for it. So we click on Paragraph, and then we want to change the first line to start at 0, and that will move everything over. Let's say I want to also change the font type to something different, and so on. The other way to get to the properties for formatting the paragraph or the font stuff is to right-click and select Paragraph, and that will get us to the same location, and set that to 0. Earlier we applied the heading 1 style throughout in multiple spots in this document. So how can we apply this new heading 1 style so it updates all the other references in the document? This is where the beauty of the use of styles comes into play. Because we set this to how we want this for a heading 1, now we update the style for heading 1 to match this. So to update the heading style to match this, we select the text for this heading style, and then go to the heading 1 up here, and not single click on it on the heading 1, but right click on it and choose Update Heading 1 to match selection. Or the other way to do it is to go to the heading 1 on the panel on the right and choose the option for Update to match selection. Now, wherever we applied heading 1 earlier, notice that all of these references have been updated with the same type of style properties. For some reason we don't like it, we can go and change, let's say, the color to something different, and then update the heading 1, and it will apply throughout the references for heading 1 in this document. Now we can do the same thing for heading number 2. Simply select it, update certain properties in it, change the size of the font, and then apply the update to heading 2. Again, you can right-click on the top and choose to update to match the selection, or if you have the panel open on the right, click on the drop-down on the right and select Update to Match Selection. Now all the references throughout the document will be updated with the same formatting. So as you can see, this provides consistency throughout the document and it saves time. Now let's say that we want to create a table of contents. The table of contents is typically created in conjunction with the use of the heading 1, 2, 3, and so on styles in the document. To create a table of contents, we go somewhere in the document, typically in the beginning of the document, and then click on References, tab on the top, and then select Table of Contents. Pick from one of the templates from here, and the table of contents has been automatically generated. The page numbers will shift in your document. You don't have to recreate the table of contents all over again. You can simply come to the table of contents and notice that we have 4 items here on page 1, and once you click on table of contents, you can click on this little drop-down arrow on the right-hand side and click on Update Table, or in the References tab, we have the option for Update Table. And then click on Update Entire Table, and notice that Design Principles now is on page 3. It was on page 1 earlier. The trick for this is to first click on the table of contents and then click on Update Table, and then select either to update just the page numbers, if you just change the references to page numbers, or to update the whole to reconstruct the table of contents. In this segment of the Word tutorial for Mac, I'll demonstrate how to enhance the document by inserting a cover page. To insert a cover page, click on the Insert tab and select Cover Page. Notice that you have a variety of templates that you can select from. Pick from any of the templates and then notice that it puts it as the first page in the document. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we'll learn how to insert a blank page in a document. Typically, blank pages are necessary after a cover page, or instead of hitting enter multiple times to push the content to a different page, you can select to insert a blank page in the document. To do that, click here on the Insert tab and then select Blank Page. This will move all the rest of the content further down and give you the blank page as part of your document. In this segment of the Microsoft Word tutorial for Mac, I'll demonstrate how to insert a page break in a document and also how to remove the page break if for some reason we need to do so. Typically, the page breaks are used or necessary when you want certain content at the top of a page. No matter how the formatting changes in the document, you want a certain segment to always start at the top of the page. So in our case, we have here design principles. Let's say we want this at the top of the page. Of course, we could hit enter a few times and that'll move it to the next page. However, if you go and change the formatting or add content to the previous page, it's going to push things down. And the solution for always making sure that, let's say, design principles, it's always at the top of the page is by using the page break function. And we can do that by going to the Insert tab and then clicking on Page Break. At this point, notice that even if we entered more text in here, and I'm going to copy a bunch of stuff, notice once the text jumped to the next page down, it left again the blank space and the design principles. It's now completely at the top of the next available page. What about if for some reason you need to remove that and it gets a little bit tedious to do that, but here's how you remove a page break in Word. We need to go to the Home tab and then reveal or show and hide the hidden characters in the document. Then notice that there are all these dots everywhere. These are spaces between the words, and these blue paragraph marks are areas where we hit return on the keyboard. And then if we go further up, notice that there is this option for page break. To remove the page break, we need to click somewhere after the page break option and then press delete on the keyboard. And now notice that the content shifted from the top of the previous page to this current page. And then we can unhide the hidden characters in the document by pressing on this paragraph mark icon here. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert tables in a document in Microsoft Word for Mac. To insert a table, go anywhere in the document where you want to insert the table and click on Insert, then click on the drop down for Table and hold the mouse without clicking, just navigate how many rows and columns you'd prefer, and then tap. That'll insert the right number of columns and rows. Now that you inserted the table, you can simply enter the text in here. Once you insert the table, there are two new tabs that show up. Just like earlier we learned about formatting styles related to text, here we have styles related to the tables. So we can pick any of these layouts for the table, and it saves us time in applying the various properties to the table. Notice there are additional colors and options that you can apply to the table. And then from the table design view, you can change the borders and the thickness of the borders and so on the right-hand side. To the left, you also have options to have a total row. So if you have the number of items here, you could add the total on the bottom section of it. And to add the total for the numbers, go to the table layout and then click on Formula. And then it's going to pick here the sum of the above items and then click OK. And that's how you utilize a formula as part of in Word. Under the table layout, you also have additional properties such as adding and deleting certain columns. So let's say I don't want this column anymore. Click once somewhere in that column area and then click on the column to delete or the rows and so on. If I need to adjust this table, simply drag this to the right or to the left as needed. Notice there are additional controls on the top here. To insert additional rows above or below, click anywhere on the table and then select Insert a row from below or to the right. You can also split cells and adjust how content fits within a cell and how the text will appear. So let's say this is my text and I'm on purpose adjusting the width of the row here. So right now it's designed or it's set to align it to the top. If I want it to be aligned in the middle, you just select that particular row or the content of that cell and select the centered option. You can pick the text direction and the sorting of the items and so on. So that's how you use tables in a document in Microsoft Word. In this next segment, we're going to learn how to insert pictures in our document. To insert pictures, go somewhere in the document where you want to insert a new picture and then go into the Insert tab and then click on the drop down for pictures. You can go in the photo browser, which should be navigating pictures in your computer, or a picture from a file, and then go to wherever your folder with the picture is, click on the picture file, and then click on Insert. Once you have inserted the picture, click on it. A new tab shows up as part of the ribbon. At this point, you can make color corrections to it. You can apply a variety of different themes, very similar to the tables that we learned earlier. Furthermore, you can go under the border, change the picture effects, and unlike the version of Word in Windows, which gives you a live preview, in the Mac version, as of the time of this recording, it does not do that for you. It does not give you a live preview as you're going through those options. Under the position, you can select where you want this picture in the document. Let's say in the top right of this page or the bottom right of this document, and it's going to place it automatically in the location that we specified. If we don't like it, you can also drag it around in the document. Now, you'll notice that it's adjusting the text around the document. This is referred to as the text wrapping. So in our case, we moved it and it adjusted it automatically. However, you can control that after we clicked on the picture. We go to the Picture Format tab. On the right-hand side, there is this drop-down where you have the square, which is right now. So there's a square around the text, or you can have it through the text or tight around the text. One other thing to demonstrate here is that you can resize it to make it smaller or larger by using the handles. Typically, it's best to use the one on the corners because that'll make it proportionate. You can also rotate the picture and you use this handle on the top section of it. The reason why I'm doing this is to show how the text wrapping works. So I have the text wrapping tight around it, and therefore it's going to put the text all around the image. If I don't want it like that and I want it square, then it's going to move the text outside the area. If you have multiple pictures in the document and you want to overlap them, you can control which one to bring forward or to send backward. One other important concept to remember is that once you insert a picture in a document, you can crop the picture by selecting it and then clicking on the crop option. So you activate the crop functionality, and then you can adjust these handles as to what you want to crop out of it. So notice you have to hold the mouse on these dark lines when it changes to like a T on its side, and then drag it to the left. It's going to make this smaller. Once we are set with the location that we desire, then click again on crop, and it's going to apply that cropping to the image. If you double click on the image, notice that the format picture along with additional properties panel will display, and from here you can adjust settings related to this newly inserted image in the document. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert stock images in Word. To insert a stock image in Word, select the location where we want to insert the image, and then click on Insert tab, and then click on the drop-down for Images, and then select Stock Images. From here, select Stock Pictures and search for a particular word, and then click on the image, and then click on Insert. Once the image has been inserted, you can resize it by using the handles on the corners. You can use the design themes and change the position, the text wrapping, and also the cropping for the image. To insert icons, click on Icons on the right-hand side. Search for the word computer, select the icon that you'd prefer, and then move it. And again, you can apply the different themes for it. And maybe you want an icon. So to insert an icon, you can simply select it, click on Insert where you want it, and then adjust the colors from the Graphics Format tab that just showed up. Then take note of additional functions from the ribbon. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we'll learn how to use online images in Word. We select where we want the image to be inserted, go to the Insert tab, and then select the drop-down next to Images, and then select Online Pictures. From here, it's going to connect to Bing, and select Online Pictures, select a specific image, search for a particular keyword. Notice that you can select only Creative Commons only, so these are images that you're allowed to use without seeking permission, and if you take that off, you have additional options. You can pick more than one image if necessary, and then click on Insert, and then readjust the image. Remember to use the formatting tools for images, and also the positioning where you want the image, and the text wrapping as well. Text wrapping, typically tight, is the most commonly used one. Once we selected the online images, notice that we have also the icon options as well. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to insert shapes in a document. There are cases where you are designing a document and you need to insert one or more shapes in it. To insert the shapes, you select where you want to insert the shape, and then you go under the Insert tab and then select Shapes. From the drop-down here, select whichever meets your needs. Click on it, and then the difference between this and images is that there's a little plus sign. In this case, you need to draw the object on your document and then let go, and then the shape formatting tools are displayed. From here, you can adjust fill color and other properties related to this object. If you need to align which object shows up first, and this works for pictures as well, notice that there is this arrange option, and if you click on the arrange, you can send it backwards, and that means that the picture, it's going to come first, and then the shape, it's going to come next as part of the document. You also have the text alignment. If you decide that that's not the correct shape that you want, you can change it for another one by clicking on the object itself, and then on the top here you can select change the shape and then pick something different. 3D objects are also an option to utilize in Microsoft Word for Mac, as is the case in Windows. To insert a 3D object, go to the location in your document, and then under the Insert tab, you go under 3D models, and then you can insert the 3D models from your device, provided you have something saved in your device. But the most common option is going to be for stock 3D models, and then search for that particular item. Once you select the 3D object, click on Insert, and it'll download it and insert it in your document. At this point, we can move it elsewhere in the document. Notice that there are different options here, such as the options to reset it. You can adjust it. You can select the position in the page, and also text wrapping. Notice there is the pan and zoom option. Since it is inserted in the document, you'll be able to then rotate it because it is a 3D object. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn about using SmartArt as part of the design of a document. There are cases where instead of representing something like this, for example, succeeding in the workplace via bulleted point lists, you could represent this in a more visual way by using SmartArt. And to use SmartArt, we need to go to the Insert tab and then click on the drop-down for SmartArt, and then select from any of these designs. So you kind of have to get an idea as to what the process needs to look like, or what would fit the concept best. So this is for lists. Then you have different processes, cycle, hierarchy between different matrix, pyramid, and a picture. In our case, I'm going to use a process to represent those 3 bullet points that I highlighted a moment ago. So let's say this fits best. So we could click here. Once you insert the image or the SmartArt, then we need to fill in the information. And then you simply insert or type in the text in there for each item. Now notice that here we have also additional design SmartArt templates, where we basically could change the design with a single click by picking another design here. And I'm going to undo some of these. And then if you prefer different color scheme, you can pick a different design from here. And then if you need to change the formatting to something different, notice that there is the Format tab and the Smart Design tab. To resize it, use the handles on the side. So you can change the text directly from these boxes here, or on the menu on the left here, this Smart Text options on the left. That panel on the left, you can hide it or display it by using this little arrow to the left of the SmartArt object. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we'll briefly learn about inserting charts in a document in Word. Select the location in the document where you want to insert the chart, click on Insert tab, and then click on the drop-down for Chart, and then select the type of chart that you want to insert. At this point, it's going to open Excel, and you can pick the data that you want to utilize as part of your chart. So simply here, fill out, change this to the specific items, the heading for the various series, and once you have done that, then go back to Word, and there is the chart built from the data that it pulled from that Excel chart we were tinkering a moment ago. From here, you can use these formatting styles for the chart. You can change the quick layout. change the color scheme, and pick from any of the designs that work for you. So the key to remember that once you insert a chart, you have two tabs that show up related to the chart object, such as the chart design and then the formatting of this particular object. If you needed to edit the data, notice that there is the option to edit the data in Excel, and that'll take you back to your data that we used earlier. If we need only two series, move this blue line. Notice there's a little line around it. Move it to the left and update the numbers accordingly. And then we go back to Word and the chart has been updated. In this segment of the Word tutorial for Mac OS, I'll demonstrate how to hyperlink to a website or a resource on the internet from a document in Word. Typically, to hyperlink, all you have to do is select the word that you want to hyperlink. And in this case, let's say we want to hyperlink to the website. So we select the words that we want to hyperlink and then click on the link icon under the Insert tab. Click on Link, and from here you can link to an address. In this case, just put the URL to the address, to the website, and then click OK. At this point, you can click on it and it will take you to the website. You can do this for pictures, text, basically any object in your document. When using the linking option, you can also link to a document on your computer by selecting Browse and then finding the document. But the issue is that if you share this document with someone else, they'll not be able to access it. So I'd suggest that when using the links, use the web addresses. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use bookmarks in a document. The point of a bookmark is so that you can reference it from somewhere else from the same document. You go in front of the text, go under the Insert tab, click on Insert, and then select Bookmark. And then we mark here this as mediation, because this means it's referencing the complete mediation. Just type the name of the bookmark, click on Add, and then elsewhere in the document, we can reference this bookmark by using the hyperlink option. Let's say we want a general observations, and here click on Link, and then click on this document, click on Bookmarks, and then select the option for mediation. Then click OK, and whenever you click on it, it will take you directly to that bookmark in your document. So we created a reference first as a bookmark, and then we use the link option to go to that reference. In this segment of the Word tutorial for Mac OS, I'll demonstrate how to insert headers and footers in a document. To insert headers in a document, go to the Insert tab, and then click on Header, and then pick from one of the designs for the header. At this point, it's going to insert the title of the document automatically. If you prefer to change it, simply type something different. Notice that there are also additional options here for the header and footer that you can modify. Once you're done with the header, click on Close the header, and notice that this will be applied to all the pages in your document. Notice that we are using a title page, and in this case, the header that we selected did not apply to the title page in our document. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we'll learn how to insert footers in your document. So we have this long document, it's about 13 pages, and we want to insert footers. To insert a footer, click on Insert, and then select the option for footer. Click on the drop-down next to the footer icon, and then select the type of footer that you prefer. In this case, I want to pick the option for page 1 of so many, and I'll click on this particular design, and now it says page 1 of 12 and page 3 of 12, and so on. Once you are in footer mode, you can change or utilize additional options from the header and footer area, and even pick different footers for odd and even pages, and also that the first page is a different page so that the footer does not show up on the first page of your document. If you prefer to align this to the right, go under the Home tab and then select the option for alignment to the right, and then all the footers will be adjusted, displaying the footer information at the right-hand side. Obviously, you can adjust the font colors and other properties, and once you are done, you can either double-click somewhere else in the document text or click on Header Footer and then click on Close Header Footer. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we'll learn how to insert dropped caps in a document. So we go somewhere on the document where we want the drop cap to be inserted. We click on Insert tab and then select the option for drop cap. Then we pick the type of dropped cap option, and that's all that there is to it. And you can resize this if necessary, and that's it. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we will learn how to use design themes in Word. Design themes are intended to give a consistent look throughout the document for the colors and fonts and make it consistent throughout the document. To apply a design theme, go to the Design tab and then under Themes, select from one of the pre-designed themes. Once you select the particular theme, it's going to change the cover page, the heading components, the font, and other elements throughout the document. If you prefer to utilize a different type of title, heading, or a different color scheme, you can select it from the Colors area. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn about components of the layout and particularly changing the margins in a document in Word. To change the layout of the document, go to the Layout tab and click on Margins. The margins by default will be set to 1 inch on all sides. However, if we want it, let's say, narrow, we can change it to narrow 0.5 inches and the document will be automatically reformatted with those dimensions. To apply the margins just to a particular area, we can select that text. Again, we can double click to select the whole paragraph or hold down the mouse and select more than one paragraph. And then to apply it to a particular area, click on the drop down here and select Custom Margins, and then change the values and apply it to only the selected text. That's the trick here, is to apply it to only the selected text and then click OK. So in this case, the rest of the document is at 1/2 inch, but the selected text here is at 1.2 inches at the top and at the bottom of the document. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we are going to learn about changing the orientation in a document in Word. By default, the orientation of a document is in Portrait. To change it to Landscape, click on the Layout tab and go to the Orientation and then select Landscape. Unlike in Windows, typically the prior section of the document is going to stay in Portrait. However, from this point forward, the whole document has changed to Landscape. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to insert columns in a document. So let's say in this document, we want to create 2 columns. So we select the text that we want to use as part of the columns, and then go under the Layout tab and then click on the drop down for columns. Then we can select 2 or 3 columns and so on. However, the easiest is to click here on More Columns and then pick how many you want and also select what portion of the document this applies to. So if we want to apply it to the selected text, we leave it to the selected text, or we can apply it to the whole document or complete sections. For now, I'll leave it as to and then selected text, and then click OK, and there it is. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert footnotes in a document. Typically, footnotes will look like something like this, and there will be references to it via a little footnote number. Let's say I want to insert a footnote somewhere on this document. So I go in the document and then insert footnote. Then from here, simply type the information that you want to insert, and notice it has placed a little number 2 in the reference where I inserted this, and at the bottom of the document, along with this line, it has inserted the footnote. In the case where there is more than one footnote, it will add another number, and then you'd add more notes here. If this reference moves to a different page, it's going to move the actual footnote reference with it. Notice now it has only number 3. To insert endnotes in a document, simply go to the location in the document where you want to insert an endnote, and then click on References and select Insert Endnote. Endnotes will be in Roman numeral numbers, and it will place the notes at the very end of the document. So unlike footnotes at the end of the page, all endnotes will be aggregated to the end of the document. And then you add the details for the endnote, and that's it. If you have more than one endnote, that will be aggregated in a different numeral number at the end of the document. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn about Smart Lookup. Smart Lookup is part of references in a document, so we click on References, and it enables us to research a concept or something within Microsoft Word. So let's say in this case, we're talking about virtual machines. And let's say we want to know more about virtual machines. In this case, we can simply click here on Smart Lookup and then type virtual machines. It's going to go to the web and find information regarding virtual machines. So you're basically performing the research directly from Microsoft Word as you're putting together the document. If you wanted to insert the link to it, you can click here on the 3 dots on the top right of that particular resource, and then click on Insert Link. In this segment of the Microsoft Word tutorial, I'm going to go over using the Researcher tool in a document in Microsoft Word. Let's say we are writing a paper on virtual machines, and we want to learn more about virtual machines. And while we could go to Google or whatever, use a web browser to perform our research, we can go here to References in Word and then click on Researcher. From here, we can find sources related to the topic that we are researching directly from Word. Type the topic, virtual machines, and then hit Enter. Notice we have definitions, the history, and full virtualization. We can read more. Then we can go back, and then further down, there are additional sources such as journals and websites. If we wanted to look at only journals, click on Journals. And then here is from IEEE Computer from 2005 or 2013 and so on, and go directly to that particular article. We can then open it in a browser to read the whole article or more about this, and we can add this as a source of citation, as you can see here. So this is another way of performing the research directly from Microsoft Word to access journals and other resources from the internet without the distractions that the web browsers may bring along. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'm going to go over the process for performing mail merges using Microsoft Word. This takes place in having what's called a form in Word in conjunction with a list of customer data. In our case, the customer data is in Microsoft Excel, where we have a worksheet, and in the first row it has the field names, such as first name, last name, street address, telephone. We also have a field with comments for each customer. In our case, we want to perform a mail merge. To do that, we go to Mailings and then click on Select Recipients, and then either create a new list or use an existing list, or you can use contacts from Outlook. We're going to use an existing list, which is the Excel data file, and this is what's best. In most cases, if your data is in an external database, you can export that data into Excel and then use it as part of the mail merge. To connect to the data, click here, Use a Data List, and then go to the folder that contains our data list. In my case, it's Customer List for mail merge. Double click on it and then click on Yes to this prompt. And next we are prompted to filter the recipients for the mail merge. At this point we are going to do letters, and then next we need to insert the fields. To insert the field, go here to Insert Mail Merge Field, and then put their first name, and then it's going to say thank you for supporting. And then we need to put their name again. Put first name, a space, then last name, then the address, put the codes for the address. So the street address, space, the city, comma, the state, comma, and then the zip. To put the telephone number as well, click on Insert Field, and then pick the telephone field, and then email as well. If you noticed earlier in our data file, I don't have comments field for everyone. I have only for a couple of them. In this case, we don't put the label comments, we just insert the comments field in there. We could format this and then go here to preview the results. Click on Preview the Results, and then view each customer. So press Next, 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 and this is what it's going to look like. If we want to make any corrections, we could highlight certain areas, make it bold or whatever, and then it's going to apply that formatting to this form. Once we are ready to merge it, click here on Finish, and then click on Edit Individual Documents. I do suggest that you select Edit Individual Documents first, instead of printing hundreds of those records only to find out that you need to make an adjustment. So if I click here on Edit Individual Documents, it's going to create one letter for each one of the customers that are in my list in Excel. So if I go to the beginning here, notice these are the comments and the data for each customer. But then if I go further down, notice we have 38 letters for this mail merge. If I go to the data in Excel, notice that I have 38 customers, one less than 39 because the first row is the customer names. So if everything looks good, then go ahead and press print. Typically, unless you want this for documentation purposes, there is no need to save the merged results document. So you technically, after you print it, you could close it and not save it. However, the form, you want to save it because once you open it in the future and you add a new record, you can always rerun it without having to do all the linking of this form to the data and the fields. So in this case, I'll say mail merge, and if I close it and go back to my data and I save the data, now if I open this document again and I click on yes, okay, it's going to link to the Excel file. And if I go to mailings and run the mail merge again, notice that the last record should include my new data that I entered in Excel, my own records for Kaceli Tech Training. And there it is. So you reuse the form, you save the form, and then open it up again so it relinks to the data, and then you generate the letters based on the data that is in Excel. If you go back to your form, you could filter your recipients by zip code or by state and so on, so that the new mailing will apply only to whatever those filter definitions are. In this segment of the Microsoft Word tutorial for Office 365, I'll demonstrate how to do an email merge in Microsoft Word. We have this letter that we want to send, and we want to send it via email. We also have a list of customers along with a field for the email address. So to do an email merge, you need to have an email field as part of the spreadsheet data. Now, this data could reside in Excel, and the first row of that spreadsheet needs to contain the field names of that data. Now, we go back to Word, and we assume that this is just a generic document. The first thing that we need to do is go to Mailings, and then click on Select Recipients. Instead of creating a new list, we click on Use an Existing List. And then pick the customer data for Excel Mail Merge. That's my Excel file. Click on Open, click on Yes, and then click on OK. It's basically going to use the first sheet from that spreadsheet. The next step is to pick the type of mail merge. So we want to do email messages. So we click on email messages, then we click on select an existing list, and then pick the data file that we want to utilize for this mailing. Click OK or Yes here, and then here we are saying that we'll use the whole workbook, the whole Excel file for this email merge. Next, we could go here to filter recipients, and then filter, let's say, by zip code or by state and so on. So the zip code equals to whatever, so you can specify that particular criteria. For now, I'm going to leave it as none. Next, we insert the fields. Now, in this case, we want to say Dear and then the first name. Click here on Insert Field and then pick first name, then put a comma. And then we are saying below is the contact information we have on file for you. Then click on Insert, first name, insert again, last name with a space in between. Then put in the address, which would be the street address, space, city, comma, and then the zip. Then we put in their telephone number and the email. If we have any comments, post those comments as well. You can highlight certain things and make them bold and format them the way you want, and then click on Preview Results. This is how it's going to look. It has the customer's information. Then we go next, 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 and so on to preview what it's going to look like. When ready to merge, I would suggest that you first click Edit Individual Documents. And you don't need to save this. This is just to preview the merged results. Once you are done, then you'd need to click on Merge to Email. In my case, I do not have the email configured for this particular machine. So once you click on Merge to Email, it's going to prompt you to specify the email address field as part of the mailing. Then it's going to send them one at a time to each customer. Obviously, whatever is sent out, it's going to be in your sent folder in your email application. It is important to note that in order for the emailing to work, it has to be a MAPI compliant mailing application, meaning something like Microsoft Outlook. In this segment of the Word tutorial for Microsoft 365, we are going to learn how to do an envelope mail merge. So we have a list of customers and we want to create envelopes with every person's address. We can do that by using an Excel data file, and this data file you can generate it from other systems that have a database of some sort. If you have a database, you can extract the data for the mail merge into Excel. The key here is that the first row needs to include the label names for each of the columns or each of the fields. In that way, we'll use them as part of the mail merge process. Notice that it's only one sheet in this worksheet, and typically it'll be just sheet 1. I have it customers in the bottom. Now to create a mailing for envelopes, go to the Mailings tab, and then click on Start a Mail Merge, and then select Envelopes. It's going to prompt us what do we want to use for the delivery address, which will fill it up with the fields, the merge fields in a moment, and then it's going to utilize your return address with your own return address. So we click OK to this, and then we need to select the recipients. Under Select Recipients, we're going to use an existing list, and we are going to point to that Excel file that I showed a moment ago. Then we click on Open, and then Yes, and then we're going to use the whole spreadsheet. We click OK. Next, we can filter the recipients, where you can specify particular fields, such as a state or the zip code, and that only a specific state should be included in this mailing. For now, I'm going to leave that off. Then under the address field, we insert the merge fields. Click here on Merge Field, and then pick the first name. Notice it's kind of coded, but behind the scenes, the system is going to pull everybody's name automatically based on these label definitions or those field names. Then we put the last name, and then new line. We could also put both of these next down here. Then we put in the address, then the city, the state, and then the zip. Next, we go to Preview Results, and then navigate through each one of those records. Once we are ready to print them out, click here on Finish. I do suggest, however, that you click Edit Individual Documents to first verify that all the addresses look correct and then print them. In that way, you don't waste your envelopes. If we click here on Edit Individual Documents, notice it has generated all the envelopes. It should be 38 or 39 of them. Now, this Edit the Results page, you don't need to save it unless you need it for documentation purposes. However, this Forms page, and I'll turn off the Preview Results option here, this you can save it so that in the future you can update your lists of data from Excel, add a new name and so on, and then you can return to rerun this at any point. You click here on Yes, click OK, and then you can rerun it by going to Mailings, and then if you click to preview the results, it will rerun the whole mail merge with all the contacts. So basically, the form you reuse, the data file you keep it up to date, and the merge results, you don't need it unless you want to keep it for documentation purposes. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I will demonstrate how to perform a label mail merge using a data file from Microsoft Excel. I have the data file in Excel, and this can be exported from any of the databases. Basically, it is one sheet that contains the first name, the last name, telephone, street address, and so on for each customer. The key here is that the first row needs to contain those label names so that we can reuse those fields as part of the mail merge for the labels. To do the label mail merge, go under Mailings, and then click on Mail Merge, and then select Labels. We need to select the type of label that you're using. You'd know this from the labels that you buy from the store. In this case, I'm going to use Avery 5160, which is an address label, which I believe it is 3 across, and it's about 15 or 20 down. Then click OK. Next, click on Select Recipients, and instead of creating a new list, we're going to use that existing list of the Excel spreadsheet. So click on Use Existing List, and then Customer List for the mail merge. Click on Open, click on Yes, and we are going to use this particular worksheet with all the cell range in it. So all the fields in that worksheet. Click OK, and now we have this option to enter the actual fields for the mail merge, for the labels. We want to insert the first name, space, last name, and maybe their address, then the city, state, and then the zip. Next, click on Filter Recipients. You can filter by state or by city or by zip. In my case, I'm not going to do any filtering. Next, once we have inserted the fields, and this is really important, otherwise you'll be frustrated with labels. Again, I'm emphasizing, you need to remember this step. Once you insert the fields, these coded areas here, you need to click on Update Labels. This will apply these codes across the whole page of labels. Again, this is very important. You enter the fields in the first label, you click on Update Labels. Next, click on Preview Results, and this will give us a preview of what the merge will look like. If things look good, you could leave it like it is. If you want to make changes to something, highlight some area, make it bold or whatever. Again, you can go to the Home tab to change the formatting. But if you change something on the first label and you want that to be replicated to the other ones, you need to click on Update Labels. Once you are done with the preview, then you can either print them, or I suggest that you open in a document to preview everything to make sure that everything is right, and then you can print it from here. You don't need to save the results page unless you need it for documentation purposes. However, the form page, the one, if we turn off the preview, the one with the codes, you can save it, and then as you update your spreadsheet in Excel with new customer data, you can always open it up and it will pull the new names that were added later. In that way, you don't have to reconfigure the form all over again. So again, to do that, I'll close it. Here's my document for mail merge, for the labels merge. Yes to link to the worksheet, okay. And then if we go back to the mailings and choose to preview the results, it will update all of them automatically. Now in my case, I didn't add a new record, but it would have been reflected in this. When you're ready, press Print Documents and it will print those labels.